I had good job. I had 4 or 5 big expensive cars.
You know, at that time I was a rich kid. Yeah, but it only takes 2 paychecks for you to turn to the other side.
I would say it took me about 4 months before I came homeless.
And then after I lost the house, the kids, and that was it.
But then situation got a bit bad. Ended up on the streets. So I just basically started foraging, and at the time going to what they call the sit runs. Sandwiches and hot soup at night. At least it's something in your stomach. And what those people do is really great. And thank you.
Currently, the national homeless charity called Shelter, they estimate that we're looking at approximately 320,000 people in the UK who are homeless. But they acknowledge, and everybody acknowledges, that it's very difficult to get a true, accurate figure of levels of homelessness in the UK.
So what we see across all 4 nations of the UK are that there are differences in the approach taken to measuring or estimating the number of people sleeping rough or experiencing homelessness. So in England, in 2018, the number of people estimated to be sleeping rough was 2% lower than in 2017. But still up 165% on the 2010 figure, so a big increase. In Scotland, we see that the number has been relatively stable over about the past 5 years or so. In Wales, there's been an increase in the number of people estimated to be sleeping rough. And in Northern Ireland, outside of Belfast, there's no national figure.
It's difficult now, it has been difficult historically, both because of the way in which local authorities gather data on their homelessness numbers, but also because we've got these terms of homelessness which are different according to the law. So we have people who are statutorily homeless, which means that they are accepted by local authorities as eligible. They're in priority need, they're eligible for full duty housing support. We have people who are homeless but they're non-statutorily homeless, which means that they're not necessarily priority need, or they're not eligible for full duty housing support.
So I mean, I've worked in homeless services for 7 years, so I've come across lots of different scenarios where people have been classed as having made themselves intentionally homeless, which I don't think any reasonable person would class as intentionally homeless. So we're talking people who have been served an eviction notice. You know, you'd assume that if you get served an eviction notice, you've not been, you know, made intentionally homeless. But if it's been through antisocial behaviour or through running up rent arrears or things like that, and then when you get the eviction notice, you leave the property, rather than, you know, refusing to leave, you can actually be classed as intentionally homeless through that. One of the worst cases of it is when women or men, it happens to men too, but the cases I've come across have been women, have been at quite significant risk from a partner or ex-partner, and they've chosen to leave their property in order to remain safe or to keep their children safe, and they have been classed as intentionally homeless.
But those are just the homeless people that present to local authorities as in need of housing. We have a vast number of homeless people that we call hidden homeless, who don't present at all to local authorities, who don't approach their local authorities as being in need of housing. And so this category of hidden homeless covers a vast number of people. We don't currently have figures for the numbers of hidden homeless people, but one charity, the homeless charity for single persons called Crisis, estimates that we're looking at approximately 3 million concealed households. And concealed households might be houses where people are overcrowded, people want to leave because of the levels of overcrowding, people living in absolute poor quality, dire accommodation. And we also have, under the hidden homeless category, people who are sofa surfing, who are moving from house to house, living with their mates, living with their family.
Yeah, I stayed from place to place. You know, sometimes you won't have a bath or shower or shave or anything like that for weeks on end, and one of your mates will walk past you and catch you and say, right, you know, come back to mine, they feed you, let you stay the night, and then it could be a couple of weeks and then you'll stay somewhere else.
Hidden homeless acknowledges or incorporates rough sleepers as well, who aren't always visible. We always think that rough sleepers are visible to us on the streets, but they're not always. A number of rough sleepers don't like to be visible. Being on the streets is highly dangerous. A number of rough sleepers are victims of crime, and so you'll find that a lot of rough sleepers hide away from visible parts of the street.
As I said, I don't do what a lot of other homeless people do, is you know, get the head down on the street in the city. I mean, for one, it's too dangerous. I mean, it's not the first time that even in Milton Keynes people have been picked on and beaten up just for being homeless, just for being there, or being insulted, verbally abused. So that's as far as that's concerned. Even when it comes to getting my head down at night, I had my I've still got my tent in a wood, in a small wood, well camouflaged. All the time that I was there, most of last year, it'd only be the odd dog that would come through, having a sniff around and then wander off again. Nobody bothered me.
So you're saying, so you think it's the first time someone's been in here?
Yeah. And I've had a good poke around, a good dig. Yeah, I'm going to have to get those, those sleeping bags have got, yeah, they're going to need a good wash. Yeah, it's been getting damp in here, you can see it.
Get more from the Open University. Check out the links on screen now.